Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into one of the most epic and enduring stories ever told, the incredible journey of Noah. It's a tale of faith, destruction, and a new beginning for humanity. Grab a comfy seat and let's travel back in time. Imagine a world long ago that had become a place filled with turmoil and unkindness. People had forgotten how to be good to one another. But amidst all this chaos, there was one man who stood out. His name was Noah. The Bible describes him as a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. He was a good person in a world that had lost its way. One day, God spoke to Noah with a heavy heart. He saw the state of the world and decided it was time for a fresh start, a reset. But because of Noah's goodness, God chose to save him and his family. He gave Noah a monumental task, a project so massive it's hard to even comprehend. God instructed him, "Make yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and coat it with pitch inside and out." This wasn't just any boat. The instructions were incredibly specific. It was to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. To put that in perspective, that's about 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet higher, roughly the length of 1.5 football fields. This massive vessel was to have a lower, middle, and upper deck, with a roof and a single door in its side. Can you imagine Noah's reaction? He was being asked to build a colossal ship in the middle of dry land, far from any ocean. Imagine the scene. Noah and his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, begin this massive undertaking. They start felling trees, shaping timber, and sealing the wood with pitch. Day after day, year after year, they worked. People in the surrounding areas must have thought they were completely mad. "Look at that old man," they might have whispered, "building a giant boat where there's no water. What a fool." They likely mocked him, laughed at him, and couldn't understand his unwavering dedication. But Noah didn't listen to the doubters. He had faith. He trusted in the instructions he had been given, even when it made no sense to anyone else. This part of the story is a powerful lesson in perseverance and trusting in a purpose greater than yourself, even when you face ridicule. Then came the next part of the instruction, which was perhaps even more mind-boggling. God told Noah to bring animals into the ark, not just a few farm animals, but 2 of every kind of living creature, male and female. And for the clean animals, those suitable for sacrifices, he was to bring 7 pairs. The ark was to become a floating sanctuary, a genetic library for the entire animal kingdom. Can you picture it? Lions walking alongside lambs, eagles perching near sparrows, pairs of elephants, giraffes, bears, and tiny insects all making their way, 2 by 2, towards the ark. It must have been an incredible, almost unbelievable procession. Finally, after decades of labor, the ark was complete. The animals were safely aboard, and Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives all entered the vessel. Then, the Bible says that God himself shut the door behind them. They were sealed inside, waiting. 7 days later, the first drops of rain began to fall. But this was no ordinary storm. The floodgates of the heavens were opened, and the springs of the great deep burst forth. Rain poured down relentlessly for 40 days and 40 nights. The water level rose steadily, lifting the massive ark off the ground. It floated above the rising tide that covered the hills and then the highest mountains. Everything outside the ark was submerged. It's a sobering and powerful image of destruction, but inside that wooden vessel, there was life. Noah and his family, along with all the animals, were safe, gently rocking on the surface of a worldwide ocean. For 150 days, the water covered the earth, and the ark was the only beacon of hope in a world washed clean. After those long months, God remembered Noah. He sent a wind to sweep over the earth, and the waters began to recede. The ark drifted for a while longer, until one day it came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Imagine the relief they must have felt after so long at sea, the simple feeling of solid ground beneath them again. Even if it was just the boat resting on a mountaintop. But they couldn't leave just yet. They had to wait for the world to become habitable again. Noah was patient. He first sent out a raven, which flew back and forth until the water had dried up. Then he sent out a dove. The first time, it returned, having found no place to land. A week later, he sent it out again, and this time it came back in the evening with a freshly plucked olive leaf in its beak. This was the sign Noah had been waiting for, a symbol of new life and that the land was beginning to heal. This image of the dove with the olive branch has become a universal symbol of peace and new beginnings. After one final week, Noah sent the dove out again, and this time it did not return. The earth was ready. When Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked out, he saw dry ground. After a full year aboard the ark, God finally said, "Come out of the ark, you and your wife and your sons and their wives. Bring out every kind of living creature that is with you, so they can multiply on the earth and be fruitful and increase in number on it." Imagine that moment. The great door opens, and sunlight floods in. Noah, his family, and all the animals step out into a fresh, clean, brand new world. The air was pure, the landscape pristine. The first thing Noah did was build an altar to the Lord. He gave thanks for their survival, for the fulfillment of the promise. In response, God made a covenant, a sacred promise, not just to Noah, but to all living creatures and all future generations. He promised that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood. And as a sign of this everlasting covenant, he set a rainbow in the clouds. He said, "Whenever I bring clouds over the earth and the rainbow appears in the clouds, I will remember my covenant." So now every time we see a rainbow stretching across the sky after a storm, it's a beautiful reminder of this ancient promise, a symbol of hope, renewal, and the promise of a fresh start. Noah's journey is a timeless story about the importance of faith in the face of doubt, the courage to follow a path that others don't understand, and the enduring hope of a new beginning. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Noah's incredible story. I hope it gave you something to think about. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure into the great stories of history. We'll see you in the next one.